Oh, hello there. I'm Agent Ghost and welcome to the archives. And give me just a sec, I'll say hello like I usually do in just a sec. I'm just admiring the buffs, the great and powerful buffs for the Chatterbox. Alright, isn't that better? Not really, because it's over there now. But we're gonna go over the build breakdown. This is, I consider it a god tier Chatterbox Hunter's Fury build, and I'm just loving it, because I love run and gun fun. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the specialization. So I'm using the Gunner specialization for the armor on kill it helps provide, as well as access to the Banshee Pulse skill, which really helps with crowd control, and we'll go more over the skills when we get to that portion of the video. But that's why I'm using Gunner specialization. And without further ado, let's move on to the weapons, and starting with the star of the show, the Chatterbox's newly buffed behemoth of an SMG. I'm just loving it with this build. Now, I re-rolled mine in the regular attribute to have damage targets out of cover because it's the highest multiplicative in the game. You can pause and take a look at the other attributes, but they're all going to be the relative same. They're going to be the same stats. So just want to make note of that. But the reason why I'm using this monster is because of the talent Incessant Chatter. And what that does is when you reload, rate of fire is increased by 25% for each enemy within 15 meters for the duration of that magazine. Max is 5 stacks, so you can get 125% increase of fire rate if you have 5 enemies within 15 meters and reload. Just, it turns into a beam of fire rate, which is just amazing. Now, as well as the last part is kills refill 50% of your magazine, so you're able to kill the enemies very quickly, and you can do that with this build. You'll just never have to reload and potentially keep the buff that you had unless you didn't get a 5-stack buff and whatnot. So it's just insane. Now, moving on from that, I am using my new favorite non-exotic shotgun. I've been having a lot of fun with this thing, and it is the named Thorn Spaz 12 shotgun. It is just a monster, and again, I have damage targets out of cover in the regular attribute. They're the core attributes if you want to take a look. And then I'm using it for the insane talent Perfect Brazen, which receives 3.5% amplified damage on the next shot, which the weapon with the weapon for each pellet that hits the target. If at least 4 pellets hit, killing an enemy will provide an 8% amplified damage on the next shot. So for each pellet, it will show on the bottom of your UI, and I will show it will give you plus 3.5% amplified damage on your next shot. But if you get a kill, you can also get an additional plus 8% amplified damage on your next shot. There's the mod if you're interested and want to copy and paste. I really enjoy the reload speed because you got to reload each individual shell. And just before we get into the armor, I'm just going to show what it might look like real quick. So give me just a sec to set that up. All right. Now, as I I hit enough shells to where you can see the 4 like pellets they're all lit up, and the bar is full under my UI where you see my ammo, magazine, and armor. Once that's full, that means my next shot is going to do increased damage, and then after I get a kill, it has even more, that 8% increased damage on top of it, so it's just rising in damage, which is just insane. And it's that easy to kill a named enemy with the shotgun. And then for the Chatterbox, again, it depends how many enemies are close by, so it may or may count at least some of those within 15 meters. But if I just shoot at them, this is the regular fire rate, and then I'll reload, and here is the beefed up, I believe, 5 times fire rate, and you can just see it's just an absolute beam. And realistically, as long as I kill the targets, it will really reload 50% of the magazine, which is just crazy. Just finishing off the enemies, and that is just so fun. Sorry. And that's it. And that's pretty much all you have to do with the weapons. They're just insane. For my placeholder, for my pistol, I'm using my placeholder, the Orbit pistol. I use this on all my builds where I don't have a designated pistol. There are the core attribute and regular attribute, as well as, whoops, sorry. The talent Perfect Finisher. You can use whatever pistol you want, or what have you. If you are interested in this pistol, you can only get it from Dark Zone vendor. In the Dark Zone, name caches and conflict caches are where I'm aware of that you can get it. But yeah, use whatever pistol you want, and that goes in the disclaimer that I like to use in all my build videos. Please use this as a base template and make any changes you desire. Have fun and experiment. That's what I like to do. So change the specialization around, weapons, gear, or skills, what have you. Really just have fun and really make it your own. Now that we're done with the weapons, let's move on to the gear. So starting things off with the Hunter's Fury gear set. We're just going to go over the gear set bonus. So when you have 2 pieces of the Hunter's Fury gear set, you get plus 15% shotgun damage and plus 15% SMG damage. We're using both those weapons, so super amazing for the build. With 3 pieces of the Hunter's Fury gear set, you get plus 20% armor on kill and plus 50% health on kill. Again, we get an additional, I can't remember the exact percentage, but we get additional armor on kill as well from the gunner specialization. So all that survivability is keen in this build. And then for 4 pieces, we get Apex Predator, but without the chest piece or the backpack, we're not going to have this go off as often, but it's not as important for the build, but it still really helps out when it does proc and go off. So I love having it all the same. Just a little disclaimer there. And what Apex Predator does is enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff amplifying your weapon damage against them by 20%. So that part's always going to be active and very important in the build. So within 15 meters and reload distance of the Chatterbox, 15 meters, we can get, there'll be like a Hunter's Fury mark you can see in the right next to Apex Predator, the knife with the bow in it. That'll be above the enemy's heads, and then you know you'll get that plus 20%. Here's the one that might not happen as often. Killing a debuffed enemy with your weapon disorientates other enemies within 5 meters and amplifies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So that could still happen quite often, but sometimes it might not as well, that second part. But yeah, Apex Predator is very amazing in this build, and that is the Hunter's Fury. So for the rest of the attributes and the mask, I have 170,000 core armor core in the core attribute, and the regular attribute 10.7% crit hit damage and a 5.9% crit hit chance mod in the mod slot. Moving on to the hands, the Hunter's Fury's hand. In the core attribute, I have plus 15% weapon damage, and the regular attribute plus 12% crit hit damage. For the knee guards, I have 170,000 armor core rolled in the core attribute, and 10.3% crit hit damage in the regular attribute. For the holster, I have plus 15% weapon damage in the core attribute and plus 12% crit hit damage in the regular attribute. That's it for the Hunter's Fury. Now moving on to the exotic, I'm using Memento Exotic Backpack. It's my favorite exotic backpack in the game for many reasons, and let's go over why this is so great right now. So in the core attribute, you can see we get all three of the core attributes just for equipping the backpack. So we get weapon damage, armor, and a skill tier, which is amazing. I have plus 5% armor because of my expertise with it. And then in the mod slot, I have a plus 6% crit chance mod. But what makes this my favorite is the talent Kill Confirmed. And if you ever play Kill Confirmed like in Call of Duty or that something of that equivalent, it's very similar. So let's go over it. Enemies you kill drop a trophy on death. Collecting trophies provides both a short and long-term buff, the first of which scales with the number of cores attributes equipped and lasts 10 seconds. So when you have whatever core attributes you have equipped, you'll get plus 5% weapon damage for each weapon core, red core. You'll get plus 10% bonus armor for each blue core, and you'll get plus 5% skill efficiency for each yellow skill tier core. And it will last for 10 seconds. That's the short-term buff. And then for the long-term buff, for every trophy collected, gain an additional 1% weapon damage, 1% skill efficiency, and 0.1% armor regeneration for 300 seconds. The maximum stacks is 30. So that's why in this build, I'm going to go over this real quick, why I have technically 4 red cores for damage with the Memento Backpack, and then I have 3 armor cores with the Memento Backpack and Hunter's Fury to give myself, you can see in the bottom left corner over there, 1.3 million armor. So that way when we get bonus armor from the Memento Backpack trophies, then it feels actually more useful. Without these extra 2 armor cores, it just doesn't feel like enough, and it's worth the benefit. So that's why I have these 2 armor cores. You don't have to have the armor cores in these specific pieces. You can change them up with whatever stats you roll, but yeah, just a friendly reminder. So that's it for the Memento Backpack. Now for the chest piece, I'm using the Solkov Concern chest piece, because in the Brancet bonus for the Solkov, for having 1 piece equipped, you get plus 10% SMG damage. So that applies to our Chatterbox, which is just insane. And in the core attribute, I have 13% weapon damage, and regular attribute 4.5% crit hit chance. I've re-rolled plus 12% crit hit damage, and then I have a plus 12% crit hit damage mod in the mod slot, along with the talent Obliterate, which that does is critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 20 times. And with the insane fire rate we get the Chatterbox, we can build up Obliterate insanely fast. So that's why I really enjoy using it with this build. And another one is Intimidate, which can work well, but I don't like Intimidate as much with the bonus armor for only lasting 10 seconds, and enemies can chew through it really quickly. So you can get more damage actually with that, but this is just more consistent and has great synergy with the Chatterbox just in general. Now that's it for the gear pieces. Now skills, and then we'll go over the stats, and I'll show you the final gameplay footage. So in my first skill, I'm using the Banshee Pulse. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you get this from the gunner specialization, and it basically launches out a cone arc in front of you that anyone in that cone that gets hit that's an enemy, they'll be disorientated, and I'll show you what that debuff looks like. It's actually that swirl that applies disorientated status effect on affected target. That's what it looks like. It'll be above their head, and they'll just not be they'll be walking slowly and not shooting at you, so it's great crowd control to get hits in without taking damage. And then for my secondary skill, I'm using simple, the Reviver Hive. I love using it with run and gun playstyles because sometimes enemies spawn behind you, or just surprises happen, or what have you. This just allows you to have a second life without having to go back to respawn or waiting for NPCs to pick you up or whatever. Just having that extra life and security is really nice for me. If you don't want that, you can absolutely use the decoy. I was using that as an alternative, and I was getting good results as well. Or potentially like the striker drone, just don't take it into countdown, but this build does still work in countdown, just don't use a striker drone. But yeah, decoy works great as well. Now that's it for the skills. I'm going to show you what they look like real quick. So here is the Banshee Pulse. You can see the cone, and then you can see the disorientate above their head. That's about as long as it lasts. It's not crazy, and you can see it was still lasting over there. But again, if you get all of those people in it, it will help you target priority and maybe take out a lot of the red health enemies, and then finish off the one, so you're fighting one enemy instead of many. It's just very beneficial. And then the Reviver Hive, you don't have to drop it or anything unless you're picking up an ally. But if you die and it's on your back and you have your skill active, then it will just pick you up and you have that second life. It's just amazing. Now let's move on to the stats. So under weapon stats, I have 86,253 weapon damage for my Chatterbox, 60% crit hit chance. You want to aim for as close to 60% crit hit chance as you can, and then 129% crit hit damage, put everything else in crit hit damage. 70% headshot damage, and I have damage targets rerolled on all my weapons, just as a reminder. Now that's it for weapon stats. Now on the offensive, I have 66% all weapon damage bonus, 15% assault rifle damage bonus. Don't really need that. 52.6% submachine gun damage bonus, 30% shotgun damage bonus, and I think I forgot to re-roll, so this is a good time friendly reminder. In my gunner specialization, make sure to set it to the weapons you have. I have mine set to SMGs and shotguns, but I forgot to set my assault rifle to pistol, so that's where I would put that. That's it for offensive. We've already gone over the gear allowance and brand set bonuses. So under defense, I have 1,277,000 armor. It rounds to the nearest 50,000, so it's 1.3 billion, but that's the exact number. The armor on kill, again, is provided from the Hunter's Fury set, as well as our gunner specialization. So we get on kill 383,000 armor, really important with our survivability. And then the armor regeneration that we get from the Memento backpack, because I have 0 stacks and can't get them in the training grounds, it's 0, but it will be close to, like, with the amount of armor I have, about 39,000 armor regen a second, which is really great if you're just staying behind cover or and whatnot. So I will put up a picture of the exact number at this point later on. And then for the final bit, I have 169,000 health on kill, along with 339,000 max health. So I get exactly 50% again because the Hunter's Fury. So get 2 kills and you get back up to max health as well. It's just crazy. Survivability is nuts. I'm loving this build. Please try it out, and hopefully you all have fun. That's the build. We'll move on to the final gameplay footage. Everyone, please take care, be safe, and have a wonderful rest of your day/night. Bye.